We take a deep inhalation. We're suspending our breath. Exhaling, open mouth. Inhaling through the nose. Exhale, open mouth. One more time. Resting our hands onto our thighs or knees. Bringing our chin to our chest. Exhaling. Inhale, bring your head all the way back. Just arch back as much as you can. Exhale, open mouth, bring your chin to chest. Really stretch your neck muscles. Inhale back, up and back. Exhale forward. Now bring your left ear to your left shoulder. Inhale. Exhale, chin to chest, right ear, right shoulder. Now inhale, go all the way down to your chest, left, back to your left shoulder. Exhale to your right. Just keep your head down, moving forward and down, inhaling towards the left. Exhale down towards the right. Good, and at one point when you feel ready, you go into a whole circle. Inhaling. Now start slightly to arch your spine. When you bring your head up, exhale around your spine. So you're engaging your spine now with this movement. Inhaling up, exhaling down. Feel the interplay between each vertebrae. Last one into this direction. And then we simply reverse, going to the other side. Still on the arch, really engage your spine and on the rounding. Bringing in slowly more fluidity. And some maybe just rolled out of bed, some came from a jog, some came, one came from a temple, I came from the ocean. So we all had a little movement, hopefully. We want to enhance the flexibility of our spine, nevertheless. Good, last rotation. And then you will slowly bring your head up. You bring your right arm overhead. You hold on to your left ear. And then you bring your left arm out to the side. So it's like 45 degrees below parallel. You pull gently on your left ear. You pull your head to the right. And then you start to flex and point your left hand. Just inhale when you flex. Exhale when you point down. A gentle stretch for the neck. Last 2 repetitions. And then you slowly, slowly bring your head back up. Take your time. Switch arms. Right arm below 45 degrees below parallel. Gently, really gently pull on your head. Flex point with your right hand. In alignment with your breath. Last 2 repetitions. Good. Slowly bring your head back up. Turn your head to the left on the inhalation. Look over your shoulder just as much as it's accessible. Inhale left, exhale, turn your head to the right. All breath is through your nose. One more time. And then we start to inhale right, exhale left. One more. Come to center. Inhale, bring your left shoulder to your left ear. So I'm not bending my head to the left. So you just keep your head nice and straight. You just move your left shoulder up as high as you can. And then exhale, bring your right shoulder up. So it's inhale, exhale, exhale. Really squeeze up. You want to touch your earlobe. And if that's not possible, then I suggest you do this now every day until you reach your earlobes. To keep your head steady. I see a few heads moving from side to side. Yeah? So stay steady with your head. Now we switch the breath. We inhale right, exhale left. Last 2. Good, then both shoulders. Inhale, exhale. Now really drop them down. Last one, keep your shoulders up, suspend your breath here, hold it for a moment. Exhale and drop. Spinal flex. Inhale, arch forward, exhale, round back. Hold on to your knees. If you sit cross-legged, hold on to your ankle in front. Inhale forward, exhale back. Emphasis again, rounding and arching your spine as much as it's possible. We don't want to get stiff in our spine. Such a simple posture. We can do it sitting on a bench, in a bus, in an airplane, car, at the light. Keep your spine moving. Pull your navel towards your spine when you round back. Really squeeze. This is great to enhance energy, but also to release energy. You can use this movement for both. A little bit more. Good. And arch forward. Exhale, come sitting straight. Bring your left hand into your left. Bring your right arm out to the side. Inhale, bring your right arm up, but my right palm is facing upward. When I lean overhead to the left. And I want you here to inhale, going over. Exhale down. Inhale over. Exhale down. This is great for the spleen, for our colon, gallbladder. Side stretches are really important. It's also wonderful for our vagus nerve, because the vagus nerve really is accountable for a lot of our well-being. And when we do this movement, we stimulate our vagus nerve. The last two. And simply switch hands. Make sure your upper arm stays as straight as possible. You keep your left palm up. Let's do 3 more. Good, and then we move into our last movement. So you open your knees wide. You can sit cross-legged or on the chair like I do right now. And you just start to twist your torso to your left. So it's our Sufi grind. I start to arch over my left thigh. I keep my arch and my chin is parallel to the floor when I go forward. When I come to over my right thigh, that's when I start to round and I bring my chin in. I exhale here in this rotation. I inhale into the arching. Exhale in towards the rounding. So as you know, this goes really into your adrenal glands, into your kidney glands. Great opportunity to let go of some stress or some anxiety, some worries. To consciously breathe them out of your glands. Great also for our reproductive organs. For the flexibility in our hips. So reverse the direction. Last 2 rotations. Good. And then for those who sit cross-legged on the floor, you can just fold forward and you stretch out your arms. Everybody else, I want you just to tuck your chin towards your chest. Let your arms hang by the side and then roll down each vertebra at a time until you hang fully over. But I want you to take your time on a long exhalation. Go down as far as you can. And then you inhale and you stack one vertebrae on top of the other. And take your time coming up. When you're fully up, you rotate your shoulders forward, up and back. And we repeat the sequence 2 more times. You will tuck your chin. And then you start to round. And you allow your torso just to go towards the ground. Arms hanging by your side. Stretch your lower back. Inhale, stack each vertebrae on top of the other. So take your time coming up. If you need to take another breath, that's totally fine. When you're in the up posture, you rotate your shoulders forward, up and back. And one more round. And then when you're up, forward and back, rest your hands onto your thighs or your knees, palms facing upward. Inhale, nose, exhale, open mouth. Two more times. Good. And then we're ready for you, Nirmala.
Siddhi Ma, are you going to have us do Om Mani Padme Om at the end or any other thing I should account for with time?
No, it's actually your time. I think what I would like for us to do is at the end is like a 3-minute conscious silence.
Okay.
Today.
Super.
So 3 minutes.
Okay. I'll try to calculate that. Let's see if I can.
Take your time.
Yeah, whatever. Hello, ladies, sweet ladies. By my count, which doesn't match the recordings, so I don't know if I'm off or the recordings are off, or if there are some additional recordings that are on our site, but I have this as week 98. So I think on our recordings it says that it's 101 or something, but anyway, we have been gathering for a long time, ladies. It's really cool. Dawn and Brenda, you're orange today. Oh my God, it's so gorgeous, so yummy. Both of you, I kept seeing you and I would open my eyes, I'd see these just sparkle orange. It's very invigorating.
And
nice.
Karen.
And Karen too.
Karen's in orange too? Let me see. Hold on. I didn't see her in orange. Where's Karen? Karen. Oh my God, of course. You're now in a different place on my screen, but something about the orange morning. I love it. So today we're going to talk about, actually, I'm really happy Britt Marie is with us because she brought up an interesting topic 2 weeks ago. That was something we just spoke briefly about, but I'd like to speak a bit more about today. The idea of stepping out versus running away, and how to frame and execute a distancing of our body, mind, emotions, whatever is needed from that which is not serving us or healthy for us. It could be in our mental world, it could be in our physical world, it could be in our emotional world. And the thing that it brings up for me is that the fundamental value of life experiences is to know self. If the self remains unknown or incomplete, all of the incoming information that comes to us is we're unable to assimilate it in the same way that we would if we ourselves were intact. So our practices that we talk about every week of awareness and self-observation and really paying attention to both our own uprisings and our emotions and our thoughts, as well as how it is we're walking through the world, how that's working for us, is our path and our journey to self-discovery. And many people will say, well, you shouldn't be so, possessed about what's going on for yourself. Work into the world and you'll learn what you need to learn. We cannot do our work into the world until we know where we are, and then we can dissolve that. It's like, understanding our capacity has to come first. Then we have to learn to let go of it. But first we have to be in awareness. Otherwise, we don't know what we're letting go of. So the spiritual journey becomes a little bit muddied. So part of the discovery, self-discovery, and the observation is learning how to use our discernment to know when stepping out of something, a situation, an emotional entanglement, or a relationship, or an activity. We spoke about that briefly in our opening time today, to know when to choose. So this is about choosing from a place of observation and awareness, not out of reaction. This is really important for us because so much of what happens in a busy world is that we move from one reaction to the next. And we're actually getting pulled by other people's agendas that keep us moving, that we're buying into. And until we can step out of those and decide what it is that we want to be including in our experience as we're getting to know ourselves, this is really important. So the wisdom that we acquire from full immersion in our life is the grist for the mill. So we're not talking about stepping out and anytime something's difficult, we just go, well, I'm not going to deal with that. That there's a very fine line between abdicating the experience because we don't want to be in it versus choosing that it's not appropriate for us. That's why we have to be in self-awareness to really know ourselves so cleanly and clearly that we know when we're making a choice to step out of something versus running away from something. So let's look at the times when we simply wish to flee a situation or a relationship or a perceived responsibility. Fleeing is a reaction. And as we start to be in self-awareness, we start to notice when you can feel it somatically. So some of these practices that City has us do in loosening our body, in making our bodies more fluid, so that we can feel an uprising that's happening in our body. We can feel a situation when it's not working for us, we'll feel it in our body. You might feel it in your solar plexus, you might feel it in your heart, you might have a change in your breath. So the more attention we spend on noticing when those rhythms are changing in us, the more likely we are to catch something that's coming into our energetic field before it becomes something we have to explosively respond to. Because we will become so fine-tuned and so subtle that just the movement of people in and out or of a situation that's coming up, we will feel it on the horizon. So the Buddhists talk about thought. Before we have a thought, it's a bubble. And the bubble is in your consciousness and it starts to bubble, bubble, bubble. And when it bubbles up enough, it forms into a thought. But the knowingness of it happens well before the thought comes into play. So we want to catch everything as it's bubbling through us and moving before it becomes concretized in a thought or an action or a reaction. This is subtlety. This is how we learn to be really subtle with our energies so that we can be in a place of being really accurate about ourselves. We want to be free and responsive. And when you have more understanding of how you operate, then you can have as much freedom as you want because you understand when it's dangerous and when it's not. But when we just take in everything that comes around us because it's there, it's like you go into an ice cream store and you don't have to taste every single flavor just because it's there. We get to decide, today I'm in the mood for chocolate. Tomorrow I'm in the mood for something, caramel, whatever it happens to be. So we get to choose. It's very empowering when you move into self-awareness and self-observation. You become very empowered about finding your higher motivation, your higher intelligence, your higher intellect, your higher, every part of you that's operating on a higher level. You drop all of the lower pieces that are more responsive, and you start to be in this subtle flow of energy. It's a really powerful place for us to be as women. We also have to be really careful with it because we can become so empathic and so sensitive that we start feeling things that are happening around us that aren't even ours. And that's okay, as long as we don't then assimilate it into our own. That's our boundaries, that there are things that are going to, as you become more subtle, there are things you're going to experience that don't belong to you. And you have to be very careful about that, because taking on that which is not ours is just another level of, layering on things that don't belong to us. It's very unhealthy. It's not good. So when we look at what we want to remove ourselves from in a situation, not all situations have to be endured. So, I think our generation, at least in my family, there was always this, just stick it out, just gut it out. Whatever it is, just get to the other side of it, just push through. I mean, I grew up in a military family. There was like no backing out. There was no backwards. There was no backup, no reverse. Everything you just push through. And that's all interesting, but it's not in alignment with the consciousness that we're trying to be in alignment with. There's a universal consciousness that we're trying to be a part of. And for us to be a part of it, we have to move into being more subtle, and we have to move into having choice. So we aren't just going to endure just because it happened. Growth is knowing when you endure something and stick it out, and when you actually know that you need to step out. That's our growth. It's not simply sticking it out because then you can say, I was able to do that. Sometimes we do. Sometimes we have to. Life dictates things that come to us where there's no stepping out of it. You're in the flame and it's burning and there's no getting out. And so the way that people get out of that is that they cover up internally, they cover up their emotions and their processing of that burning situation, because it's so hot and so heightened that it's uncomfortable. Sometimes we have to stay in the discomfort, but only you will know when it's time to stay in the discomfort and when it's time to step out. And that's because you're going to be in so much self-awareness and self-observation. You will know when you're running away or when you're stepping out by choice, because it's not an appropriate place for you to be. We're able to build an intelligence. So this is about energetic intelligence. We aren't just intelligent in our mind sense, what we know academically. We're also intelligent as our energetic beings that we are. There's an intelligence in us. And that intelligence is what we use to be able to discern what it is that we want to be doing and what it is that we don't. We want to heighten our emotional and our energetic intelligence. So one of the keys to building intelligence in any situation is spaciousness. So you hear a lot of the meditations people talk about, breathing, count to 10, count to 3, count to 20, anything to create spaciousness. So we want to create, when Siddhi is having us do these stretches, we are creating spaciousness in our cellular body. We're elongating our muscles and we're moving our organs around so they have more spaciousness to be able to float wherever they are within our body. We're stretching and opening up. We're opening up our system This is the key to being able to become intelligent in a body, in a mind, in our emotions, is to create spaciousness. We talk about this a lot, almost as much as we talk about awareness and self-observation, we talk about spaciousness. Spaciousness is a healing space. Spaciousness is a healing space. If you need to be healed, there's something happening in your life that needs to be addressed. The best thing you can offer yourself around it is spaciousness. That might mean taking a breath for a few seconds. It might be actually physically removing yourself from something for a while. It might be giving yourself a break from something for a period of time. Spaciousness is the healing space that we need for anything that's happening in our system. You cannot heal if your body is sick and you keep pushing it and you don't allow its spaciousness to heal. It doesn't get better easily. You might get better, but you elongate the sickness and you may make it more extreme than it is necessary. You might make it more extreme. So the best sticking it out might be stepping out. There's a gentleness to stepping out of something when you choose in spaciousness to back up or to remove yourself from something. There's a gentleness and a graciousness about that, because it's not a reaction in an angry or a disturbed way. It's a very gentle and a very positive movement, and people will respond differently to you when you choose to step out through spaciousness than when you choose to flee out of reaction. Those are two entirely different experiences. So stepping out of the way is like, it's like, let's step out of the way of our inner child and our inspiration and our what flows over in us and let it flow. Let's get out of the way of the constraints that we put on ourselves, the labels, the expectations, the must do, all of the lists, the laundry lists that we bump up against every day. I think it was Britt Marie who said that this morning, that if you feel, one of you said, if you feel badly, if you miss something that's on your list for the day, let's step out of that so that we stop the judgment and we start choosing what's going to unfold, whether it's a relationship or our daily schedule or it's whatever it happens to be, but we're choosing it out of this intelligence, our conscious intelligence of our system, which comes from us being in self-observation and self-awareness to ourselves and the world around us. Of course, you can't isolate just yourself, but you have to start with yourself. You cannot know the outside world until you know yourself. It doesn't work that way. Until we understand where we're coming from, everything we see is through a clouded lens. We have to polish that lens, the beautiful Ram Dass polishing the mirror. If we don't polish our own mirror, we don't see the reflection of truth. We see the reflection of flawed vision. We have to polish the mirror. That's taking care of our own work first. First, we take care of that work so that we can move into the world and have a clarity and of truth and understanding, so that we can be participants and we can be helpful and we can be healing agents and action agents and activists, and all the things we want to do in the world have to come from a place of stability to do our best work, So I know a few weeks ago, we had the mantra, I am awareness. I think we had that mantra. I'd like us just to stick with that again this week, to really practice that I am awareness. That's what I am. I am the observer of what's happening. I'm observing myself and I'm observing other. I'm not just the one that is observing. I am observing myself. I am shining the mirror on myself and the light on myself so that I am able to have clarity and truth. We chant this every time we start Asatoma. We want to move from the darkness into the light, from the untruth into the truth, from finite to infinite. That's what we're doing in our consciousness. That's what our growth is. That's what our focus is. And every movement we make all day long is to move from darkness into light and from untruth into truth. We want to live in truth. And that's not just our truth, whatever is occurring to us. That's cosmic universal truth, which may or may not line up with what we want. Sometimes it doesn't. And then we get to choose, do I step out from this and take a break and create spaciousness so I can come in alignment with it? Or do I stay with it? What's being called for? But the more you know yourself, the more your capacity to be able to decide, make that decision in a graceful, spacious way. This is about us being conscious every second. It's not like we just become conscious when we sit on the mat and we meditate, or we do our yoga, or we go for a nice walk, or this is building consciousness into your movement all the time. Every breath is a breath of consciousness. At first, we have to concentrate on that because we have to pay attention. Am I doing that? And then it starts to become part of our rhythm and part of the way we move through the world. We don't have to look at it in such a strict way. We can just be that. We can be consciousness rather than observing consciousness. So we talked about before about choosing words. That's such a powerful thing to say. So the bubble comes up in your mind and the bubble pops into forms a sentence. And the sentence is a thought or an idea. And that comes out of your mouth as words. And the words carry a vibration, and the vibration changes everything around you. So we have the responsibility in our consciousness to look at what's bubbling up, to catch those words and phrases and thoughts before they become the words that come out of our mouth and the energy that we're throwing into the world. That we want to be on that deep of a level that we are with the bubbles that are coming up. Because when we articulate something, when we say, I'm going to step out of something in a very conscious, careful, thoughtful way versus I'm going to flee something, I'm leaving, I'm abandoning, those are two entirely different energies. And we want to be really careful about the energy that we bring into our own system and into the world. So this week, let's continue to work on I am awareness and I'm consciousness. You are consciousness. And every cell in your body wants to vibrate with consciousness. We have to think it. We have to work with it in ourselves. We have to be aware of it. We have to make a commitment to it. Have a beautiful week.
Beautiful. Thank you. I would like for us to just bend all fingers except the index fingers. So the index fingers are extending, all the others really squeeze the fingertips into your palms, and then make a triangle with the tip of your thumb and your tip of your index finger, and you hold this in front of your heart center. And in front of this triangle, you see the light of the sun. And on the inhalation, you bring the sunlight into your heart center. And on the exhalation, you share your light with the world, and you send your light out through the triangle back into the world. So you pull the light in through the triangle, and you share it with the world by sending it out through the triangle. So light is coming in and light is going out. And over time, widen the circle of what you're sharing. Maybe in the beginning you see your loved ones, then your friends, your community, your town, and your nation, until you finally send your light all the way around the world. The next time you pull the light into your heart, you open your hands and you rest your hands on your heart center. You hold that light inside of you. You imagine that this light moves from the center of your heart throughout your entire body. So you are lightening up. Just regulate your breath doing it. And then we let go of the image. We bring our hands into prayer pose. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. May we live light, be the light, and spread the light. Have a beautiful weekend. Namaste.
Namaste, ladies.